And we won't ignore what our intelligence agency had determined to be the most lethal terrorist threat to the homeland today. White supremacy is terrorism. We're not going to ignore that either. My fellow Americans, look, we have to come together. White supremacists.
I want to be clear in how I characterize this. This is mostly a protest.
Nazi sympathizers.
Sitting behind me is one of multiple locations that have been burning in Kenosha, Wisconsin.
Carrying Nazi flags.
Do not get it twisted and think that, oh, this is something that has never happened before, and then this is so terrible, and where are we, and these savages and all of that.
And then Minnehaha Liquors, which is on the corner, and I watched.
Gold and silver have stood the test of time. They give stability in times like these. Start an IRA this month with Noble Gold, and along with the first class service, they're gifting a 1/10 ounce gold bullion American Eagle coin, and you will have peace of mind knowing that you made the right choice, as well as growing thousands of extra tax-deferred dollars in your fund over the years, safely and steadily. Visit noblegoldinvestments.com. That's noblegoldinvestments.com. Now, let's get back to this video. Now, did y'all hear that, ladies and gentlemen? Joe Biden talking about the biggest threat is white supremacy. And just like the clips from that movie where this guy was saying, wait a minute, what I'm seeing with my own eyeballs, it looks like one thing. But then when I put on my glasses, I'm able to see what's really going on. And see, that's what I feel like. I feel like as I watched that opening, I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute, this cannot be real. What he's telling the people cannot be what's really happening. Now, without my nonsense glasses on, it sounds like a president that's just looking out for the safety of the people and fighting against injustice, fighting against racism and white supremacy. But when I put these on, I'm able to see through that nonsense. Because if you're going to tell me the biggest danger to the United States is white supremacy, and you're going to sit back and tell me that people, we have to come together, and the next clip shows that you're out there talking about some white supremacist, Nazi sympathizer, carrying their Nazi flags. That don't sound like you're trying to pull us together. That sounds like you're trying to tear us apart by pretending you're pulling us together. That sounds like you're trying to treat my open wound with some dirt and stuff like that. You're not putting medicine on it. No. You're telling me, don't worry about it. This is a new technique. We're going to treat your open wound with dirt. So this man right here, along with the people he brought into his cabinet, is telling us that the biggest threat to America is not, I guess, the broken border. It's not homelessness. It's not even COVID. It's white supremacy. So what we got to do, y'all, we got to do a scientific experiment. We cannot just trust what the Democrats tell us. We need to go out there and find some evidence that we can see with our eyes and hear with our ears, okay, to discover who the real threat to America is. And all of these, I guess, insurrectionists running around, we need to get to the bottom of it. Because, see, when Joe Biden made that comment, I'm thinking it shouldn't even be hard to go and find some white supremacists. Now, I know what they used to look like. Skinheads, Nazis. They were proud. They came out with swastikas. They came out with the hand up and everything. They were out doing their rallies, but I don't see them anymore. So they must be undercover or disguised as someone else. So let's go and check these receipts on the internet, y'all. I'm sure they're out there. Here's Tucker right here. Maybe Tucker can help us out.
They're working hard to divide us into warring camps, and they're using lies to do it. They're telling us a story that is completely and very much intentionally disconnected from reality. They're claiming that something called white supremacy, and that's a term they never define, is the single greatest threat we face, a greater threat than Al-Qaeda or ISIS. Here's our thoroughly craven Attorney General telling us that very lie today.
In the FBI's view, the top domestic violent extremist threat comes from racially or ethnically motivated violent extremists, specifically those who advocated for the superiority of the white race.
All right, that's the Attorney General of the United States making a statement of fact backed up by the FBI. So it's fair to ask obvious questions. Who exactly are these violent white supremacists? What are their names? What crimes under the U.S. Code have they committed? We still don't know. Merrick Garland didn't tell us today. Instead, he spent most of his time talking about the riot at the Capitol on January 6th, an event that had nothing whatsoever to do with race. Nothing. But Merrick Garland lied about that. He, like most people you see on television, wants you to believe and wants history to record that January 6th was an attempted insurrection by white supremacist revolutionaries bent on taking over this country.
Now, before I even get into these next couple clips, I had to put my nonsense glasses on, okay? My see-through bullcrap glasses before I watch these clips, because this man got on TV and was up there on the Capitol railing on about the insurrection. So let's get into this and see if we can use our deductive reasoning to decide if this insurrection was as bad as he say, and if white supremacy is the greatest threat to our country.
And according to different news outlets, the initial break-in with the building was caused by a few people who had broken through the police barricade.
Okay, now that I got my no-nonsense glasses on, I'm not seeing a whole heap of white supremacists, and I'm not seeing them like dressed with swastikas and saying that we're white power and white supremacists. In fact, that's a black guy. That's a black guy in the middle, right there on that little podium. Why aren't all of those white nationalists and white supremacists killing that black man? But let me put my glasses back on and see if I can really see who's at fault and what's going on with this insurrection. Because I'm thinking some characteristics of a true I guess rebellion or insurrection should be clear in these clips.
There's a video footage that appears to show Capitol Police opening the barriers to let protesters stream through and eventually enter the Capitol. That needs to be investigated for what really occurred. This must have happened before Trump finished his speech.
Hold up. So when I take my glasses off, I hear Joe Biden and all of them talking about it's an insurrection. I hear Nancy Pelosi talking about a surge on the Capitol. But when I put these glasses back on, I'm seeing police officers waving folks in and moving stuff out of the way. Now, what kind of insurrection opens up the doors and say, come on in? I don't know. I'm starting to wonder about this insurrection theory. Let's continue watching.
Well, this image here shows that the security was taking selfies with people rushing into the building.
What? Hold on, y'all. Are you kidding me? So the Attorney General, whoever that softcore dude just a minute ago we were talking to, was saying the white supremacy and white nationalism and all that stuff is the biggest threat, and what took place on the 6th. Why is this police officer allowing himself to be taking a selfie with one of these insurrectionists? I'm just wondering, that's right there is not the characteristic of an insurrection. Aren't those people pretty casual? I mean, they're relaxed and stuff. I'm thinking they should have a greater sense of urgency, wouldn't you?
There's also a video where you can hear Trump supporters calling the people breaking the door in Antifa repeatedly. Look at it. If Antifa members had been actually involved in this, then this was a setup to make sure Trump supporters look bad.
Now, wait a minute, Mr. Asian man. You're telling me Antifa could have been involved in this? The same Antifa that creepy, sleepy, sleazy, slimy, sloppy Joe said was not a real organization. It's nothing more than an idea. Well, let's see if this ideal has manifested itself in the form of humans. Oh, look at that. But no Antifa, no Antifa. Looks like we have a conflict of interest.
Specifically those who advocated for the superiority of the white race.
What? Let me put them back on. Here we go. All right. Oh, insurrection. There we go. Okay. Ran right on in, huh? Just ran right on in. Okay, where the car? Any second now, the police showing up, firing on them, right? All right, let me see something. Okay, where are the cops? No police? No police? Yeah, no cops. I mean, I'm thinking if I'm that guy in that crowd and my goal was to launch an insurrection, I would be thinking I'm going to be met with some type of resistance by now. I would be more so shocked that I ran in like, wait, whoa. Okay, I don't know what else to do, guys. We're here now, so smoke if you got them. Wander around, take some pictures. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I thought it would be a little more difficult, but now let's continue watching. I'm pretty sure for them to launch a 9/11 scale investigation and declare that white supremacy is the greatest threat to America, and all of these folks in here are white supremacists, and this was racially motivated, I should be starting to see a whole bunch of evidence of that. Let's see. Everybody looks pretty calm. taking pictures, no weapons. I'm not seeing any of those. Oh, whoa. Are those police? Are those police officers in that crowd?
Why are you letting this happen?
What?
Why haven't you called for backup? Where is your backup?
All good questions.
This is our damn Capitol building, and y'all are letting it get destroyed on your watch.
Now, why is this white supremacist yelling at these cops about stopping these folks from breaking into the Capitol building? And why are these cops, who apparently was under duress and being overran, sitting there with their hands in their pocket and sitting back, relaxed with all the rag gear on, looking as if they ain't got nothing to do with us? I'm just a little curious because Nancy made it seem serious, and so did Alexandria Cortez. I was in the basement scared for my life. So no real police resistance. Citizens are saying help and stop this from happening. And the crowd is divided because the majority of those folks I saw pointing saying, that's Antifa. Stop them. Huh.
Fuck all of you.
Oh.
Call for backup. Get some help down here.
Tell them, bro.
And if they don't want to get you fucking backup, they obviously don't give a shit about you.
Oh, my. Well, I am glad I got my bullcrap glasses on, my nonsense shades, because when I take them off, I think America's a racist place and white supremacy is the biggest threat we face. Let me put them back on so I can see exactly what's going on in this Capitol building. Doors open, people push right on in. Whoa. Well, look at that, having a party. No gunfire, no fighting with the cops, yeah, just waving flags, walking around, saying USA. I don't see any property being burned or torn down or anything like that.
I'll talk over it.
I'm a little
concerned. Just kind of scroll through it. And
what's this?
He's coming in. He's coming.
Okay, wait a minute. Wait, did y'all just see what I just saw? That pudgy, milk dud built police officer right there had the nerve to push that crowd back, stop him with one hand. He didn't even, let me go, you know what, let's go back to that. Look at how easy he just controlled them. Like, hold up, right there, right there. Now, why did all of those insurrectionists in that doorway just stop and go, oh, okay, yeah, you go ahead, set it up. That looked like they were about to stage a scene in a play or something, because that guy right there doesn't look like he's scared, running for his life. He just simply told them to wait a second, and they all said, oh, yeah, everybody hold up for a second. Why is that? Why is it? Why isn't someone from the FBI or this district attorney grabbing this cop saying, why did they just stop when you gave them the one hand, like, give me a second? Why did they stop? Why didn't they run past you? I don't understand. So let's see what happens. Maybe there's more footage to be, make it more clearly. Okay.
Coming in. They're coming up.
Wait a minute. Why aren't they chasing him right now? They should be sprinting towards this man. So now his billy club happened to just be laying right there on the floor. He told him to give me a second. Let me get close to my billy club first. Okay. All right. Now I'm thinking just, off the top of my head, if I was trying to launch an insurrection, I would be like, let's get him without the billy club. Let's get him soon as he opened the door. Okay, now let's go. Okay, wait, get set. Then we'll come. Are you ready? Okay. Now, as they're coming, what is this?
Now, watch what comes over. Whoops, there it is. Stop.
Oh, first of all, is that a photographer? Did just happen to shoot right around the corner to get a nice action shot? Number two, why aren't these insurrectionists sprinting around this corner chasing him up those stairs? That's what I want to know. Where's the sense of urgency?
A photographer is conveniently poised to catch all the action.
That's pretty funny.
That's amazing.
It is.
A protester that comes with his own photographer, Lance.
Crazy. That is crazy. Let's see what else. Okay, just walk right in the door. Okay, so now I'm trying to figure out, maybe I ain't seen this right. Let me put my glasses back on. So, no need to break down that door. Someone from the inside opened it? Okay. Yeah. Nobody's rushing in, no weapons. Everybody's kind of walking in slowly. Lock us in. They're having no sense of urgency in the voice. Where's their leaders? They don't have a plan? Oh, are those cops? Are those cops standing there as they walk by him? I am confused about this insurrection. Is that a cop walking somebody up the stairs with his arm around them? What is that? was that cool photographer up there? Just, you know, everybody's calm. The body language is very relaxed. Such a violent insurrection. I'm just curious what their plans were, because it doesn't look like they really have a plan. They're just taking selfies.
You were right. We did it.
Dude,
Right,
I was
did it.
trying to tell you. I couldn't say much.
You were right.
Jaden X. Listen. Now wait, is this Jaden X a white nationalist Trump supporter? Because remember, according to that gentleman on Tucker's show, and Joe, is white supremacy did this and all of that, and they're the biggest threat, and all of these folks up there busting that Capitol for the insurrection with the motivation of, you know, race being the motivation. So let's see who Jaden X is, who's talking about we did it.
Is this not going to be the best film you've ever made in your
Oh,
life?
he's excited.
Yeah, Kelly and Bob, James Sullivan says he turned in tips about his brother to the FBI here in Salt Lake City. He says he believes that his brother was not only involved in the riot at the Capitol, but somehow in charge.
What?
Full disclosure, the FBI has been in contact with me. John Sullivan posted to his Twitter on Wednesday.
You know, I got the call, as I said again today, that...
Wait a minute. Wait a second. Wait a second. First things first. That lady who was just talking said that this man's brother might have even been in charge. So why is this man a man of color? I don't understand. That must mean either his brother is 100% all the way white. Maybe they got different fathers or mothers or something. Because you cannot tell me that this man's brother is the same color as he is, and he was a big key piece of that insurrection, and it was racially motivated. Wait a minute, then. Let's see. Let's check it. I don't want to judge. Let's see here.
He was going to be apprehended by the FBI.
John's brother James says he first learned his brother was at the U.S. Capitol
when
friends started texting him these pictures.
He's black.
Then John posted video to YouTube.
Like, I'm just trying to record what
He was going in there to document it, but he also was part of the Antifa groups.
I also, you know, want to support the black community out here too in the best way that I can. That's my belief. I believe the Black Lives Matter. I mean, I'm not here to assert myself and my beliefs on other people. I just want to give people the footage, the video.
The FBI's office in Salt Lake City would not confirm they were investigating Sullivan or any Utahns.
I want to condemn, absolutely condemn the shameful and violence that we saw on January 6th at the U.S. Capitol.
We still love John, and that's something that he needs to know.
Now, how in the Sam Hill did this dude, John, get inside of that Capitol, and he's with who? Antifa and Black Lives Matter? I thought this was a 100% uncut white nationalist group of people who ran in there. All racist white nationalists, right? But yet, here we have this dude who's black and was a part of Antifa, went in there and boasted about it, talking about, we did it, hun. Let's see, as we close out that little clip right there.
I'll give you your hug now. We did it.
Your hug now. Y'all, look at that. We did it, hun. What did you do? What did you do? Where's the FBI grabbing this dude and saying, what did your girlfriend mean when she said, we did it, hun? What did you mean when you were saying, yeah, didn't I tell you? Didn't I tell you we can do this? Who can do this? Cause see, from where I'm sitting, that guy, he doesn't look like a Trump supporter. In fact, there's more footage of him online where he's bragging about pretending to be a Trump supporter and infiltrating that group. But you know what? Let's continue, because maybe this district attorney who's trying to make us think white nationalism is the #1 threat to our country, maybe there's some footage left out that we just haven't encountered. So we better do our own investigation since the FBI can't.
So pretty early morning, like 5 a.m. I guess, or 5:30, and I was talking with this cop, and we were just like talking about everything, and I asked him, like, most of the people actually have the feeling that police didn't do enough to stop the protesters or didn't do anything, and he was like, yeah, I can actually understand why they say that when I see the pictures. And himself, he was kind of angry at like his superior, because he told me that on Wednesday morning at 10 a.m. he and his like co-workers were told to go home, which he was very surprised about, because of course Trump had not started his speech. We knew that there was going to be some huge protest on the Capitol that may or might turn violent, so he was extremely surprised. But he went home and then he saw that the situation turned bad, and he said that he wasn't called back into work, that he did come because he felt like he had to, but that no one called him back. So yeah, so he was very surprised about that they were not like requested to be at work when such a big event was going to happen.
Well, I want you to know that I am very curious of why they did not call the police back too.
Okay, so I gotta now become Columbo. We now have to become investigators because obviously the district attorney, the FBI director, Chris Wray, he can't figure this out. Now I'm watching stuff and I'm thinking, yeah, that doesn't make sense. My light bulb is going off. I'm saying, well, wait a minute. Why would you give all these police officers the day off unless you didn't want them to be a part of something that you already had strategically planned? Yeah, that doesn't make sense. Even the cop was saying that. Can we get an interview of this reporter? Christopher Wray didn't bring her in. Can we get a subpoena for that cop or all those cops who mysteriously had the day off on one of the most largest events, but they got the day off? I'm starting to become a little suspicious. So Christopher Wray, if you need my assistance, or the new district attorney, he might need my assistance to kind of clear up some of these speculations and narratives that these were all white supremacists. This was an insurrection motivated by racism. Therefore, let's use that to surveil, go after, demonize all these folks who apparently are what? Domestic terrorists? I think we're getting a bad rap. That's what I think. Let's continue though.
What's the floor plan?
What's the floor plan?
Back to work. There's a door to the right.
Back to work. There's a door to the right. These are all young kids, except we got Grizzly Adams in there. Okay.
Doors already open.
Doors already open.
We need enough people.
We need enough people. Whoa. Are these folks in black? Are these kids that look just like the folks that be with Antifa? How'd they get in there? Secondly, when is the last group of Trump supporters you know shows up with gas masks? I mean, I've been to a lot of Trump rallies and things. Not once have I got a secret message sent today. Everybody come out with gas masks so that we can act a fool and put gas masks on. I have seen almost every group of Antifians rocking those same gas masks.
Okay. Hey guys, I've been in the other room. Listen to me. In the other room on the other side of this door, right here where these feet are standing, there is a glass that if it's broken, you can drop down into a room underneath it. There's also two doors in the other room. One at the rear and one to the right when you go in.
So who is this lady? Who is this lady with the bullhorn quarterbacking this insurrection? Can some FBI agent grab her and pull her in and say, how did you know so much about the floor plans? I mean, who tipped you off on how to get down in there? How did all these folks know that you were in charge? How were you able to organize all these people? Because see, when Trump supporters come out to his rallies, we don't come out there with a key person that has organized some insurrection and we're all taking orders from. This sounds like a group of people with a plan, and she sounds like someone who have been given access to some information about those floor plans so she could tell all these folks to do this, do that. Because I'm seeing these young whippersnappers throw on gas masks, all black, don't look like Trump supporters. And here she is quarterbacking them. Why isn't someone bringing her in? Why isn't Christopher Wray finding out, are you the leader of this? You know what? I think we need to do their job.
So, people should probably coordinate together if you're going to take this building.
Well, look at that.
We got another window to break to make it in and out easy. And this window here in the whole room needs to be broken. Yeah, what's here? And then walk down through a window here. Line the stuff out. I'm going back over there.
So organized in detail. Strategic. We need more people. So they know what they're supposed to break, right?
What's he saying? Tell me what you're doing. Just give me some narrative.
How do all these people know each other? We need people. Do they all know each other? I don't know about y'all, but if I'm out there in that crowd and somebody talking about we need people to break out windows and go somewhere, I don't know you. All these people somehow mysteriously seem to be on the same team. They're taking orders from people as if this was strategic. Now, you think I got that type of power to grab a whole bunch of people spontaneously and start quarterbacking them and no one question anything? In fact, they're following orders like we know what our job was when we came. Now, I'm a little concerned about this insurrection theory and this white nationalist theory here, and all of that, because I would hate for the wrong group of people to get blamed for something, because as I'm watching this doesn't look like an insurrection. Huh. Okay. Yeah. Meandering about.
All right, there.
All in rooms. Okay.
Yep. Maybe like he's gonna fucking ball or something. No, I mean like tear gas.
Oh, okay.
That could be like that.
Yeah, they all seem like brilliant insurrectionists, guys. Yeah, that whole purpose. Let's take over the whole government by just slowly meandering about in rooms and pretending to break stuff. All of these, 20, maybe 19 to 20 something year old kids, no plan, no strategy. You know, what's going on there? I'm starting to question some things. Maybe the FBI didn't get this footage. Maybe I need to send it to the DA. All of that led to this director right here, the DA talking about some white supremacy and Joe Biden and stuff, and white supremacy and Nazism and stuff. So we better go ahead and see, because the Democrats are very thorough. They're very thorough when it comes down to investigating things and getting to the bottom of this and sniffing out all types of racism and corruption. So let's go ahead and check out some more evidence, okay? Let's see, here we go.
Donald Trump committed a massive crime against our Constitution and our people, and the worst violation of the presidential oath of office in the history of the United States of America by telling the mob that their election had been stolen from them. I have an objection because 10 of the 29 electoral votes cast by Florida were cast by electors not lawfully certified. Even then, after that vicious attack, he continued to spread the big lie.
I think it's also critical to understand you can run the best campaign and you can have the election stolen from you.
Hold on. I don't know about y'all, but I smell hypocrisy. See, because when I took my cool glasses off, I'm seeing this guy on there with that curly afro look like he got a Jerry curl as a white man. But yet he up there talking about some Donald Trump broke the law. This is the worst thing a president has ever done. And by denying the election results, he inspired an insurrection. So I shouldn't be seeing video footage of this dude doing the same thing. And also Hillary Clinton. See, when I put them on, I'm seeing evidence all over the place of them doing the same thing, if not worse. Let's see.
This was months of cultivating a base of people who were violent.
In the FBI's view, the top domestic violent extremist threat comes from racially or ethnically motivated violent extremists.
Let's see where they at. Okay. Wait a minute. I'm sorry. That didn't look like the Capitol building. That looked like the streets where we've been seeing Antifa and Black Lives Matter attacking folks. And they're not racially motivated. That's politically motivated. That's kind of crazy, because I should be seeing video footage after video footage of white supremacists, MAGA hat wearing people punching folks, burning stuff, like all of this real violence here. Let's see.
Specifically those who advocated for the superiority of the white race.
Superiority of the white race. Oh, is that a white man on the ground? Oh, is that dude kicking a white man?
Praising that violence.
And everyone beware. They're not going to let up, and they should not.
And he still gave that marching orders and, quote, fight like hell.
Democrats are going to fight like hell.
We're going to fight like hell.
We'll fight like hell.
We'll fight like hell.
But can you imagine telling your supporters that the only way you could possibly lose is if an American election was rigged and stolen from you?
And you can have the election stolen from you.
Crooked.
And ask yourself whether you've ever seen anyone at any level of government make the same claim about their own election.
And you can have the election stolen
Yeah, I
from
did.
you.
I see one right here.
And in the months, the president made these statements. People listened. Armed supporters surrounded election officials' homes.
Is that Braveheart?
The Secretary of State.
They were shouting threats, to us to kill us. We cannot go outside now. It's become so dangerous for us.
When he saw firsthand the violence that his conduct was creating,
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country. Maybe there will be.
He didn't condemn the violence, incited it further.
They're not going to let up, and they should not.
I'm a bit perplexed on this narrative. And all of that video footage and all of that hypocrisy was hard to see through it. I mean, I can't see through it. I couldn't get a clear shot at all of those racist, white nationalist Trump supporters with MAGA hats on as they attacked those folks in the street. And I would think that montage of all these so-called political leaders that are inspiring folks to be violent out in the streets, I would assume those are all Republicans saying that. And white nationalists and KKK members, which, be honest with you, they are the real white nationalists and KKK members. But anyway, nonetheless, I'm not seeing a plethora of white supremacist / Trump supporters. I'm seeing a lot of Antifa and Black Lives Matter people. But let's keep digging. Maybe Christopher Wray needs our help, guys. Yeah. Because, see, we would hate to have America believing that we are a white supremacist country and that half the country are white nationalist KKK members that are attacking folks. That will be using propaganda and scare tactics. So let's see if we can find out who's under that sheet. Like on Scooby-Doo.
You know why there aren't uprisings.
There it is. Found him. Found him.
There needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives.
You got to be ready to throw a punch. You have to be ready to throw a punch.
Donald Trump, I think you need to go back and punch him in the face.
That I thought he should have punched him in the face.
I feel like punching him.
I'd like to take him behind the gym if I were in high school. If we were in high school, I'd take him behind the gym and beat the hell out of him. No, I wish we were in high school. I could take him behind the gym.
I will go and take Trump out tonight.
When was the last time an actor assassinated a president?
They're still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump.
Show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
And you push back on them, and you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere.
I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
Maybe the district attorney mixed this footage up with something else, because see, what I'm not seeing Trump out there telling folks to punch folks, stay in the streets, riot, do all of that stuff. Yeah, I'm seeing Democrats and, of course, liberal actors and stuff like that. Yeah, we better send them. We better send him a pair of these. Because obviously him and Christopher Wray and the liberal media is not seeing clearly. But let's continue.
Please get up in the face of some Congress people.
People will do what they do.
I want to tell you, Gorsuch, I want to tell you, Kavanaugh, you have released the whirlwind, and you will pay the price.
We're going to go in there, we're going to impeach the
Well, this is just a warning to you Trumpers. Be careful. Walk lightly. And for those of you who are soldiers, make them pay.
If you had to be stuck in an elevator with either President Trump, Mike Pence, or Jeff Sessions, who would it be?
Does one of us have to come out alive?
Get it off me! Get it off me! Now, where are all the Trump supporters? Where were all those white nationalists talking about some, we be warned, we are gonna make you pay? All of that, none. But yet white nationalism is the greatest threat to the homeland, according to Joe and his DA.
And did you tone down the rhetoric last summer when all of this was happening? Did you condemn the rioters? Or did you stand with Nancy Pelosi, who said, people are going to do what they're going to do?
She did say that.
A movement, I'm telling you, they're not going to stop. And everyone beware, because they're not going to stop. They're not going to stop before Election Day in November, and they're not going to stop after.
Where are all the Trump hats? Look at those. Oh! Look at that MAGA person kicked out that other white guy. Oh, look at that one white nationalist with that ponytail and that dark skin. Because surely, the only violence going on around this country is from white, systemically racist people that supported Trump. As I watched that black white nationalist kick that white guy in the head. Huh.
It says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
Oh, look at that one, that white nationalist right there that looks black.
There aren't uprisings all over the country. Maybe there will be.
Oh, well, look at all, you know what? Those aren't real Antifa.
It was a violent night in St. Louis. They shot and killed David in cold blood.
Unbelievable. Trump supporters now are what? Let me see, because they blamed us for killing the cop on the 6th, and we didn't do it, but Black Lives Matter did. That was his wife right there, talking about her black police officer husband who's dead. And I haven't heard anything come out of the Democrats or the liberal media. There's no statues made for that man. But let's keep going so we can finish seeing all of these white supremacist Trump supporters just dishing out a plethora of violence, political violence, throughout the whole country for the most part.
Destroying property which can be replaced is not violent.
This is an apartment complex on fire.
And it just collapsed. Their building just collapsed.
I have nowhere to go now. These people did this for no reason.
Hey lady, stop complaining, okay? Don't be crying, because obviously these white supremacist Trump supporters are the ones that destroyed your house and your property. It couldn't have been black folks or Antifa, because see, their goal is to uplift the black community, right? Their goal is to look out for black people and fight against injustice, right? So, from what I'm gathering, it appears that the greater danger to society is not Trump supporters. I'm not seeing no MAGA hats in all of this. Let's continue. They're going to come out at some point.
This is just a snapshot of some of the damage the people will be waking up to.
Going up, but police clearly...
I'm proud of New York, and I'm proud of the protests.
There is damage everywhere you look. Honestly, it looks like a war zone.
Heartwarming to see so many people turn out.
Now, I mean, I'm just going off of what I see, but what I'm seeing looks way worse than what I saw a few minutes ago on January 6th. I didn't see no burning, nothing inside of there. I didn't see them shooting. I didn't see none of that stuff. I ain't see them looting. This is prolonged too, ongoing, okay, and racially motivated. Whereas those insurrectionists, they weren't talking about racism. But let's continue here.
Peacefully.
Oh, yeah, that's peaceful.
They keep doing it day after day after day.
Oh!
The country's a nation of protests. The patriots were protesters.
That's peaceful. It's a peaceful fire.
St. John's Church is on fire.
Do you disavow the violence from Antifa? That's a myth.
That's a myth, like a leprechaun. That's what it is. That's like a unicorn. That's a myth, says Abbott and Costello, all wrapped in one. That man said the same thing that Joe Biden said. It's just an idea. Well, of course, you can't call them out because they're working for you. But let's continue. Look at this myth. This myth tearing up everything.
It is not, generally speaking, unruly.
And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere.
They're not going to let up, and they should not.
Know that everyone here will soon be marching over to the Capitol building to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard.
Now that is funny, because that whole montage, that trail of Democrat politicians and operatives that work in the media who were talking about violence, who says a protest should be peaceful. We're talking about staying in the fight, punching, all of that, taking people behind the bleachers and beating them up. And they all telling us that white nationalism and white nationalists were inspired by Trump to go and invade the Capitol because he said what? Well, according to what we just listened to, he told them to go over there and peacefully protest. Interesting. I think that we're getting set up. Let's continue.
Charlottesville lie. Very fine people on both sides, except that isn't all he said.
What?
And they knew it then, and they know it now.
They making stuff up?
But you also had people that were very fine people on both sides.
Okay.
You had people in that group, excuse me, I saw the same pictures as you did. You had people in that group that were there to
excuse me. Now I'm wondering, now I got to put my reporter glasses on. Excuse me. I'm the real press from Kevin's Corner. This is a question for the fake news who put this clip together over here, and also the Democrat Party. Excuse me. So you guys are presenting evidence that Trump is inspiring racism and white nationalism, and you're using edited clips of him allegedly saying that there were good people on both sides when he was talking about what took place down in Charlottesville. Correct? then why did your video on the left just suddenly, abruptly stop without playing the rest of the context, unless you're trying to deceive the public?
Protest the taking down of, to them, a very, very important statue and the renaming of a park from Robert E. Lee to another name.
Robert E. Lee are not the same.
Well, no, George Washington was a slave owner. Was George Washington a slave owner? So will George Washington now lose his status? Are we going to take down, excuse me, are we going to take down statues to George Washington? How about Thomas Jefferson? What do you think of Thomas Jefferson? You like him?
I do love
Okay,
Thomas
good.
Jefferson.
Are we going to take down the statue? Because he was a major slave owner. Now we're going to take down his statue. So you know what? It's fine. You're changing history. You're changing about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists because they should be condemned totally. But you had many people in that group other than neo-Nazis and white nationalists, okay? And the press has treated them absolutely unfairly. Now, in the other group also, you had some fine people, but you also had troublemakers, and you see them come with the black outfits and with the helmets and with the baseball bats. You had a lot of bad people in the other group too.
Treated unfairly, sir. I'm sorry, I just didn't understand what you were saying. You were saying the press has treated white nationalists unfairly?
No,
I just didn't understand what you were saying.
No. There were people in that rally, and I looked the night before. If you look, there were people protesting very quietly the taking down of the statue of Robert E. Lee. I'm sure in that group there were some bad ones. The following day it looked like they had some rough, bad people. Neo-Nazis, white nationalists, whatever you want to call them. But you had a lot of people in that group that were there to innocently protest and very legally protest because, you know, I don't know if you know, they had a permit. The other group didn't have a permit. So I only tell you this. There are two sides to a story. I thought what took place was a horrible moment for our country, a horrible moment. But there are two sides to the country. Does anybody have a final?
And apparently there is two sides to this story because I've been hearing for 4 years now that Trump never condemned these folks. I still know folks walking around believing that this man supported white nationalists because for whatever reason, the rest of this footage never made it to the fake news. That right there is amazing. And Joe Biden used this clip in his campaign messaging. White supremacists, he condemned them when they came out of those woods with their eyes bulging and red and fire spitting out of their noses and eyes. All of that mess. So why hasn't this been released? What would be the motive for hiding the rest of the clip? What would be the motive of not investigating all of that footage we just saw with these so-called insurrectionists that went into the Capitol bewildered that they were in there, walked past police, sometimes taking pictures with police arm in arm, nice, relaxed body language, no sense of urgency, didn't even have a real strategic plan except those clips where someone obviously knew about the layout and was obviously telling all of these people what to do, where to go. And they were just taking orders from a stranger? That's crazy. I wouldn't. I mean, dude, you're about to get me arrested. Why would I do that? If this was spontaneous, if this was something they just say, hey, you know, it'd be a good idea. How did they get leaders? That's what I want to know. But you know what? We better check to just make sure that we're not being manipulated and set up by the Democrats, globalists, and folks in power that would like complete control over us and to shape narratives that aren't true. Because I need to see more footage of these white supremacists running around the street. If they're the #1 threat, we shouldn't have to go looking. We should be able to find, are they here?
January 20th, 2017, the day of Donald Trump's inauguration.
Oh my.
Washington, D.C. looked like a war zone.
Where are those Trump
Here are the
supporters?
images of leftists attacking police and setting our nation's capital ablaze.
So wait, man. So if white supremacy is the greatest threat to our country, and Trump supporters, well, Trump just got elected in this clip. We're probably over at the inauguration, celebrating. So then who are these people out here burning up limos and attacking police? Are they also Trump supporters? Huh.
White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders attacked in public by leftists. Senator Ted Cruz attacked in public by leftists. Tucker Carlson's wife and family home attacked by leftists.
Crazy.
Rand Paul attacked by leftists with a hammer and sent to the hospital.
Hammer?
And so then people say, oh, well, I kind of deserve this because it was a dispute or it was an altercation. And it's like,
I'm not seeing the Trump supporters.
I haven't had any conversation with this guy. I get attacked from behind, don't know he's coming. And the first thing I know is 6 of my ribs are broken. So it's been a tough time.
Capitol Hill was a war zone during the Kavanaugh hearings. I was there. Hearing rooms and Senate offices were stormed by the mob.
Wait just a minute. Is this the crowd at the Capitol during the Kavanaugh inauguration or nomination? Is that the crowd? Where are all the MAGA hats? Where are all the systemically racist white nationalists? Where are the KKK members? I don't understand. So they were storming the Capitol at that point, especially when Chuck Schumer said, go over there and do it. So now here they are, and they were going into rooms, harassing Congress members as they got in the elevators and went down the escalators. How did they get in there? And why wasn't this an insurrection? Why weren't these folks thrown in the category as domestic terrorists and deemed to be the #1 threat to America? I'm just curious because obviously I'm able to get hold to this footage just being a guy in this room, but Christopher Wray isn't. But the Attorney General and all of those guys, they can't find it. They can't find it. So I'm putting together this video to help them. They overlooked all of this evidence because we wouldn't want them to set us up to look like we're the real insurrectionists and we're the real greatest threat to America when all this video footage shows that we're not.
Supreme Court were stormed as well. 18 months after Kavanaugh's violent confirmation.
But look at that, as they're trying to break in the Capitol building. Are they insurrectionists? I'm just saying, where are all those MAGA hats? Interesting. Where are all the cops? Where are the Democrats coming out telling them to cease? No, at least Trump got on TV and said, everybody calm down. You're going counteractive to what we're trying to do. That is not our cause. We do not attack our police. I didn't get any condemnation from this crowd right here that was trying to storm the Capitol. But remember, this insurrection on the 6th was the worst thing that ever happened to our country since 9/11.
A vicious, deadly Antifa and BLM protest began to overflow onto American streets. Dozens of innocent Americans were killed, including President Trump supporters who were hunted in the streets like dogs and murdered.
So, Mr. Attorney General, Deputy, whoever, and Christopher Wray, we got people murdered for political reasons all over the country from Antifa and Black Lives Matter. Cops being randomly shot and ambushed and set up. Federal buildings being set on fire with people in them. Violent mobs showing up at leaders and congressmen and senators' houses. And yet, white nationalists is the greatest threat to our country. All these deaths throughout the summer versus the one death that was taken, a life that was taken on the 6th, Ashley Babbitt, from a Capitol police officer who was a Trump supporter. She was unarmed, no warning, versus these dozens of folks killed throughout all the rioting and looting and stuff like that. But yet white supremacy is the #1 threat to our country.
Hundreds of millions of dollars in property damage, lives forever destroyed by the leftist mob.
Interesting.
Leftists and journalists today are horrified by the damage and looting of our U.S. Capitol. Rightfully so, we all should be. But if you didn't say anything about the carnage this summer, then shut up.
Shut it up.
Historic churches in Washington, D.C. were set ablaze, and the left said nothing. The White House grounds were set ablaze, and the left said nothing.
So if I'm getting this straight from this footage, they're saying that this was a mob, angry mob, an insurrection attack on our democracy and to take over and overthrow the government, right? But yet these folks burned, actually set parts of the White House on fire, almost burned down the, well, you know what though? I'm sure we're going to find out that these were all lies propagated by Trump concerning them setting churches on fire and all of that and trying to set him on fire inside the White House and stuff. I'm sure they're all going to blame Trump for that because remember, it was Trump that told the Secret Service and the rest of them to go out and beat these innocent, quiet, peaceful protesters so he can go and take a photo op and spread more of his racism and propaganda. I'm sure he's to blame for it as we continue to go through this montage. Here we
covered it extensively on this show. We were there. A federal courthouse was bombed and attacked by a leftist mob for over 60 days. The leftist mob...
60 days. So we all had 60 days to stop these I'm sorry. There was no need, because this wasn't Antifa or Black Lives Matter, because they're just ideas. That's all they are. So these ideas were attacking this federal building, which the Capitol building is a federal building too. But for some reason, Nancy Pelosi felt that that building needed to bring in the military and protect their lives inside of it by all of these folks who didn't spend 60 days straight trying to burn down the Capitol building. For all these folks who walked in, as we saw on the body language, hand in hand with cops. All those folks who entered the Capitol building when cops were saying, come on, hurry up. All of those folks who went in taking selfies and just meandering about like they were just as shocked to get in there. Like, I guess the doors are open. But yet, 60 days of nonstop attacks on federal buildings and officers, and yet the greatest threat to America is white nationalists.
Sent dozens of federal officers to the hospital after their attacks, ceaseless attacks.
Now, why weren't all these Democrats coming out instead of saying mostly peaceful protests? Why weren't they all coming out saying, you know what, this is horrible, you're attacking our men and women in blue? I wonder why they weren't doing that. Instead, they were demonizing the men and women in blue, and they were also trying to defund them and things like that. But yet, when that police officer wasn't even killed by a Trump supporter up there, they just paraded that all around. Look at this. He's killing cops and stuff like that. And we're going to hear a new updated understanding of what happened to that police officer in a second, too. But let's continue seeing the real anarchist and insurrection and threat to our democracy and country.
For months on end, attacks on this federal courthouse. Did you hear a word about it from the left?
No. No.
Did you hear a single denunciation of this attack from the left?
No.
Of course you didn't. No. Soon to be Vice President Kamala Harris, in fact, supported bail for rioters and looters in Minneapolis. Her tweet is still up. Soon to be President of the United States, Joe Biden, had multiple members of his campaign donate to free violent protesters and domestic terrorists from jail. AOC and Sally Cohn and CNN's Chris Cuomo encouraged the violent explicitly.
Now, too many see the protests as the problem. No, the problem is what forced your fellow citizens to take to the streets. Persistent and poisonous inequities and injustice. And please, show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
Will you condemn Antifa for the attack in Washington?
We'll be making statements.
It's easy to condemn a terrorist attack.
When asked to denounce Antifa and the death and horror they have caused, soon-to-be President of the United States, Joe Biden, refused, and he called Antifa an idea.
Antifa's an idea, not an organization.
Oh, you got it.
Not militia.
Yes, we got to this day because leftists have normalized and endorsed political violence. They did it for power. This has broken our nation, and so spare me your newfound outrage, you soulless ghouls.
Oh! So if I'm understanding all that stuff I just saw, who didn't look like Trump supporters to me, as they did this and was encouraged by the Democrats, was encouraged by the liberal media for power and to, of course, control narratives and manipulate people's emotions, they're willing to demonize half of America that don't agree with them politically and label them as domestic terrorists and the single greatest threat to our country, but yet using the attributes and the activities and behaviors of the crowd that they inspired for a couple years now to do the real insurrection, the real attacks on federal buildings, the real burning down of stuff and intimidating folks politically. Those folks are now called what? Mostly peaceful protesters. And yet those people who entered the Capitol are now insurrectionists / domestic terrorists. I'm starting to think they're trying to set us up. Harassing people. Why are these white kids, why are these white snot-nosed kids got their fist up like they know what power to the people mean? See, this is what I mean. They done co-opted the real movement. You think they would have been in the Black Panthers back in those days? Down with Bobby Seals and all of them? Huh? But yeah, here they are. They don't know nothing about this. Got their hand out. Harassing an innocent lady just trying to have a dinner. Now, I'm thinking to myself, if I'm that lady, I'm not thinking that Trump supporters are the worst threat to our democracy and society. I'm not seeing any MAGA hats yelling at folks with their fist up. Yeah, I think this right here definitely deserves the label of a threat. Greatest threat to our society. All these folks has been burning down stuff. But even worse than them are the people who encourage them and lie about the narrative and make it appear that conservatives, mostly white nationalist conservatives, are the greatest threat with no evidence or video footage like we have for them. Look at all these Trump supporters harassing this lady. Look at them in their MAGA hats and stuff. Leave her alone, racist. These white nationalists are taking over our country. Look at them. They're fist up. Trying to hide your MAGA hats and stuff behind your mask. Yeah, you heard the brother right there. No justice, no peace.
Burning cars and smashed windows. A small group of protesters dressed in black, their faces covered, armed with hammers and bricks.
Hammers and bricks? Oh my.
Facing off with thousands of officers on site.
Attacks on our officers?
Confronting them with flashbang grenades and pepper spray.
What the?
All of a sudden, the police officers started to spray pepper spray, and they got our audio technician. The
what?
is running because they're going to throw more flashbangs.
All Trump supporters.
The chaotic scene just blocks outside the secure area of the inauguration and parade route.
Wait a minute.
I personally have
Trump, so
anti-establishment slants, but I don't think that this is anything that I want to be a part of.
This checkpoint is closed!
Before the swearing-in ceremony even began, protesters tried to block checkpoint entrances.
It's closed!
During President Trump's speech, several demonstrators were escorted out of the area. Several officers injured during the protest today, and more than 100 people arrested.
Now, I'm a little curious because, see, the new DA just talked about the difference between all these Antifa people is, you know, is civil unrest versus riots. Now, I'm thinking throwing stuff at cops, breaking into buildings, looting, shooting, robbing, burning, all fits the description of a riot. Huh. That is crazy right here. Now, I'm just doing some more deductive reasoning. This was taking place during Trump's inauguration. So all the white nationalist Trump supporters with the MAGA hats were probably over there supporting the president that just got inaugurated. So then who are all these people dressed in black? Oh, my bad. It's just ideas walking around. Somehow put on all black, and now we can see these ideas that happen to look like humans, but according to Joe, they're ideas. It's a myth, according to Jerry Nadler. Let's continue looking into this myth.
We came this close, Merrick Garland said, and that's why, quote, we must adopt a broader societal response to tackle the problem's deeper roots. Right. So because of January 6th, says the chief law enforcement officer in the United States of America and many other members of Joe Biden's cabinet, we must now use law enforcement and military force to arrest, imprison, and otherwise crush anyone who leads opposition to Joe Biden's government.
Oh, there it is. Thank you, Tucker, for making it clear. Because, see, I was confused. I'm watching all that video footage, and that's not Trump supporters. Yeah, I didn't see a lot of MAGA hats breaking and tearing up stuff and harassing and shooting and looting. I saw a bunch of Biden voters. I saw a bunch of Black Lives Matter folks, and I saw a bunch of Antifa folks that are supported by the Democrat Party and liberal media. But yet somehow we got labeled and we became responsible for an insurrection and domestic terrorism, but we got labeled as white nationalists. But now I'm starting to see, because I'm able to see and think like the villain and the hero. If I wanted to silence any opposition to my political ambitions, my policies, if I wanted to threaten and send a signal and a message to all of these people who came out of nowhere and blindsided our party and won an election by electing someone who actually supported the people, actually kept his promises, actually were looking out for America first, but messing up my situation and I'm the evil person? Well, hey, easy fix. Let's go ahead and lie on all of those folks who mostly came just to do what Trump told them to do. Go over there and let your voice be peacefully heard. But then as we see in that video footage, there was a whole bunch of people that came with bad intentions that for some reason the FBI and the DOJ is not interested in getting to the bottom of. All of that video footage they still have, but they won't let us see it. All of those redacted names of people who are possible FBI operatives that were in that crowd. All of those Antifa folks, all of those people, that could have easily been something that might look like yeah, let's go ahead and make it appear that these are all white nationalist Trump supporters. But at the end of the day, we know they're not. See, because as I watch the rest of the folks come in, they look bewildered. They look confused. They look like we didn't know we were involved in an insurrection. We thought that the doors just busted open and folks just came in and started walking around. I get home, find out on the news I was a part of an insurrection, and now I'm a domestic terrorist. Huh? Maybe Tucker could bring in someone who is an expert in propaganda and being able to see how Marxist ideas and plans are implemented.
That's their position. They say that out loud. They did today. So what is this exactly? Well, it's a big change in the way the United States government assesses and then treats its own citizens.
I'll say.
We are living through the transformation of a formerly democratic republic into something else. We're looking at growing authoritarianism. That's not an overstatement. Vladimir Putin knows authoritarian systems very well, and he sees clearly what is happening in this country. Watch this.
Special guest.
Did you order Alexei Navalny's assassination? Of course not. We don't have this kind of habit of assassinating anybody. That's one. Number two is, I want to ask you, did you order the assassination of the woman who walked into the Congress and who was shot and killed by a policeman? Do you know that 450 individuals were arrested after entering the Congress, and they didn't go there to steal a laptop. They came with political demands.
Okay, so yeah. We just played tape of Vladimir Putin. Now, under normal circumstances, we would never play tape of a foreign adversary criticizing our government.
I feel you.
But honestly, those are fair questions. Who did shoot Ashley Babbitt, and why don't we know?
Good question.
Are anonymous federal agents now allowed to kill unarmed women who protest the regime? That's okay now?
What?
No, it's not okay. It'll never be okay. And why are all those January 6th protesters still in prison on trespassing charges, as so many Biden voters who torched federal buildings walking free?
That's what I'm saying. So these are questions I need to know by that DOJ guy that got out there and talked about the greatest threat being white nationalism, by creepy, sleepy, slimy, sleazy, sloppy Joe, who was up there talking about, white supremacy is the greatest threat to our country. And I'm not seeing these folks running around. Do you mean to tell me they didn't updated all of their ability to have meetings? Because apparently half the country is white supremacists. So how are they all organizing and meeting and we're not figuring out where they're at? We can't locate a cell. But yet, I'm pretty sure we can snatch one of these Antifa folks that were running around, find out who they're connected to. I'm sure we can grab a Black Lives Matter person. I'm sure we can do digital face recognition and find out who that lady was inside of the Capitol, giving those orders and plans to the building, but nobody's pursuing that. Whatever happened to that lady? Is she in that 500 or so in jail? She seemed pretty knowledgeable and comfortable. It seemed like she would be a key person to question in regards to who put this thing together. But I wonder if she was arrested. These are all questions I need to know, because I would hate to think that these Democrats and liberal media would be that diabolical to lie on, before I say it, wait a minute. Oh, speaking of lying, no wonder. Okay, wait. All right, before we get out of here, let's see why. I know why it is. Yeah, look at all these, look at all these lies right here, y'all. My bad. I'm sorry, I forgot who we were dealing with. We're dealing with the Democrats and that liberal, funky, stinking, dirty, disgusting, poop, stained dumpster juice media. Here we go, y'all. I now found the source. Here we go.
Mr. President, when President Putin was questioned today about human rights, he said the reason why he's cracking down on opposition leaders is because he doesn't want something like January 6th to happen in Russia. And he also said that he doesn't want to see groups formed like Black Lives Matter. What's your response to that?
Bullcrap glasses.
My response is kind of what I communicated.
What?
That I think that's a ridiculous comparison. It's one thing for literally criminals to break through cordon, go into the Capitol, kill a police officer, and be held unaccountable. And it is for people objecting and marching on the Capitol and saying, you are not allowing me to speak freely.
There it is. Thank you. It's sad when Vladimir Putin has to point that out to us, the hypocrisy and how equal what we're doing to our people is to what they're accusing him of doing. This man just lied. This man, Creepy Sleepy, just said that they burst in that Capitol and killed a police officer and wasn't held accountable. And he did it overseas, and it is a full-blown, flat-out lie. Not to mention that when Putin brought this up, he was right. You got an unarmed, innocent woman, no warning. If you wanted to shut down your opposition, you let a federal cop kill this woman, don't release who he is, don't explain why he did it, don't allow an investigation. Just close it out. Not to mention, these folks went there to let their voice be heard. The majority of them did. So then these folks is now still in jail on some charges way beyond, okay, the amount of time you should be held. And none of them been charged with insurrection. So then why are they being held? That sounds like something Putin would do. But here we find the source of all of this confusion as we watch Creepy Sleepy get out here and use propaganda, gaslighting, and full flat-out deceptive lies by blaming Trump supporters and white nationalists for killing a cop, by making it appear, though, that these were criminals and all motivated by race, where there's no evidence of that whatsoever. But he's not alone. He's not you are not alone. There's more liars with you.
January 6th, so many people still in custody. Things were broken. Things shouldn't have happened. There was trespassing. None of these people killed the cop. That's wrong, Joe Biden. Ashley Babbitt was killed, and she was unarmed. And we still don't have the full story.
In June last year, at the height of the Black Lives Matter protests, media outrage peaked when President Donald Trump strode from the White House through Lafayette Park to St. John's Church, where he held up a Bible. "See what the president has done," screamed the media. He personally ordered his security goons to violently disperse the crowds just for his vanity shot.
That sounds like something Vladimir Putin or Kim Jong-un would do, according to the media, because they want everybody in America to think that that's how Trump is. That's how he is. So let's see how he just told them to go out there and just destroy all these protesters and these folks that's out here peacefully protesting.
The president forcefully clearing the streets by Lafayette Park. It turned out they were trying to clear the area so President Trump could get a photo opportunity outside of a church.
The president wanted this photo op, and he wanted to disperse that crowd.
And it was President Trump sending a message that he feels good about today. Looking at these images, he wanted to show that he could move Americans physically out of the way to do this photo op.
Just one day after peaceful protesters were gassed, so he could stage a photo op in front of St. John's Church.
If the White House president and his team had to do it all over again, would you have gassed and pummeled protesters to clear the park so the president could have a photo op?
Now we know where it's coming from, guys. Now we know where this fake, phony narrative of white nationalists being the greatest threat, all of these lies about what Trump did. I see now how the gaslighting has taken place and convinced all of these idiots running around the country that the Democrat Party and the Democrats and all of them are not responsible for all of this chaos. They're not responsible for it. They're fighting against it, as all the evidence that we just went over shows the opposite. It doesn't show Trump supporters running around doing these things. But yet the narrative is that they're the greatest threat to our country. The evidence of Trump commanding his people to go out and gas these people and stuff, you hear all of those reports. But let's find out what really happened.
And from the New York Times, quote, When the history of the Trump presidency is written, the clash with protesters that preceded President Trump's walk along Lafayette Square may be remembered as one of its defining moments. And similar hysterical headlines came from the Washington Post. Quote, how the clearing of Lafayette Square made the White House look a bit more like the Kremlin, said one. And, I love this one,
juicy,
from Tiananmen Square to Lafayette Square.
Well, as the Washington Post sheepishly reported this week, quote, Park Police didn't clear Lafayette Square protesters for Trump visit. The paper further stated, the report found that preparations to clear the protesters and erect a fence began 2 days before the park clearing. Here's Attorney General and Inspector General of the United States Department of the Interior, Mark Greenblatt.
The upshot of our review is that we found evidence that the park police decided to clear the park to install an anti-scale fencing in order to protect law enforcement officers as well as the park itself and federal and private property. On the flip side, we did not find evidence that a potential presidential visit to the park or the St. John's Church influenced the park police's decision-making or their deployment, in their operation to clear out the parks.
So wait, you're telling me that Trump didn't command them to go in and gas peaceful protesters for his photo op? But yet, I watched that montage of the media lying and saying he did, and then you wonder why people are burning things, tearing up stuff, attacking Trump supporters, shooting them, things like that. You wonder why people are calling Trump a Nazi, calling him Hitler, all of these lies, all these false narratives, all of this propaganda, no apology. So let's just call it for what it is. If they were willing to label the president as a racist, a Nazi, a white supremacist, they hated this man so much that they would throw these labels on him and use the power of manipulation, gaslighting in the media and all of that to paint him to be looked at as Hitler. It would only make sense that they would also go after who supported him and paint them as Hitlerettes and Hitlerists and little Hitlets. But there's more lies and propaganda? What is this?
We also learned this week that President Trump never ordered the tear gassing of anti-Trump maniacs in this park to clear them out so he could walk to that burned out church. An Inspector General report confirmed the president had nothing to do with it, yet the devious media subjected our president and all of us to these lies over and over and over again.
He wanted to show that he could move Americans physically out of the way to do this photo op.
Obviously, the president wanted a photo op.
I mean, for a photo op?
To make way for a White House photo op.
Lafayette Square photo op to clear out these protesters from Lafayette Park so the president could have this photo op.
You remember we were told Donald Trump lied about the Obama Justice Department wiretapping the Trump campaign and Trump Tower. Well, he didn't.
The Justice Department revealing it has found no evidence, zero evidence, that Trump Tower was ever wiretapped, as the president had alleged in a series of tweets.
CNN has learned that investigators wiretapped former Trump campaign chairman Paul Manafort under secret court order, both before and after the 2016 election.
But now made up, of course. Trump declaration to the Georgia Secretary of State's chief investigator. Find the fraud, we were told he said. Turns out he never said that. What? Yet still the media pounded us with this in an effort to make us turn on President Trump.
President Trump pressured a Georgia elections investigator in a separate phone call, urging the official to, quote, find the fraud.
President Trump called the state's chief elections investigator to, quote, find the fraud. President Trump pressured another Georgia election official during a phone call to, quote, find the fraud.
So in conclusion, if they could use the media and Democrats to lie, paint a false narrative, and accuse the president of the United States of trying to steal an election by pressuring folks down there in Georgia, gassing innocent protesters, using them to beat them up and move them out the way, all of these things they accuse President Trump of, not denying white supremacy, all of that. If they could lie to their audiences over and over again with no retractions, They could accuse Trump of being a Russian agent, come to find out they were lying about that. They could come out and say Trump was lying about being wiretapped. Then it comes out that he was right. All of these lies, all of this corruption, all these false narratives that still stick in the heads of most folks who voted against Trump or hated Trump, then why couldn't they do it to us? Why couldn't they take a situation like January 6th, take bits and snippets of it like they took speeches from Trump, chop that up, blow it up, use the media to create an exaggerated narrative that doesn't support the data, that doesn't even produce the evidence of all of these white supremacists. But as you just heard these folks lying, you hear them on TV saying the same stuff: white supremacy, white nationalism, insurrection, all of that stuff. So then why wouldn't it work? Why wouldn't the district attorney come out and just say, well, yeah, biggest threat is white nationalism? Is that, did I say right, boss? Did I say the right thing, huh, Nancy? Because surely Joe's not in control. Okay, so that's the narrative we're going with, right? So we'll say it. The liberal media will say it. All the Democrats will say it. The darn people in entertainment will say it. So then this way, the bubbleheads will believe it. Okay, cool. That's what happened. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. I had to go undercover. I had to become a deputy dog. I had to go in and sniff it out. I had to do what apparently Christopher Wray can't do. Gather evidence, video footage, clips, put together a well-organized presentation to show why what that district attorney just said and Joe Biden opened up with is nothing but lies, gaslighting, and manipulation used for political gain, and also an attempt to attack all of those folks who ain't buying the Democrats' garbage that they're selling. Now, I know I might be shut down, I might be penalized, and might be snatched off the internets for this, but it's tight because it's right. Now, God bless you. God bless America. Man, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and all that good stuff. And also Rumble in the jungle. Open you up a Rumble account if you ain't got one. God bless you. See you next time in Kevin's Corner. Take care.